Hey, it's Lowery Smith of the Commander Smiths here with Searching for the Spotlight Kambal Profiteering Mayor. This is basically taking like 85, 90 cards, building a deck out of it, what I'm feeling, what I'm hoping. You get to see what cards I'm going to choose, and I'm going to start cutting. And if you have any comments, you can leave it somewhere. Um, Kambal, Profiteering Mayor, 1 and a white and a black, 2/4 Human Advisor. Whenever one or more tokens enter the battlefield under your opponent's control, for each of them, create a tapped token that's a copy of it. Ability triggers only once per each turn. And then, whenever one or more tokens enter the battlefield under your control, each opponent loses 1 life and you gain 1 life. Hey, Bill from Woodbury, how you doing? And then, yeah, that's it. Plugs right now. Commander Smiths is a weekly podcast that comes out. We're on like episode 360 something or other. So we're always around. We do deck building. We just started doing some gameplay. So if you want to go check that out with the Marvel characters, you can definitely find that on our channel. Subbing, liking, sharing it with buddies or whatever. That's always helpful. Podcast is kind of about a lot of different things: new sets, secret layers, tournaments. We do a game called Stump the Smith Savant where I gotta guess a card off of the flavor text. um yeah, so we do a kind of a lot. We do have a Patreon that you can join, and if you do that, we send you a Discord link, $1 just to get in. At higher levels you get proxies that Adam kind of makes. Think that's kind of the bit. Aiming for about an hour, hour and a half. If you're not watching this live, I suggest watching it in like 1.5 times speed. Get through it a little bit quicker. You're not going to miss much. Um, there we go. So basically, what Comball is trying to do, making tokens. I do have some giving tokens that are going to be happening as well. Let's turn this up a wee bit, blinding me, but perfect there. And so giving tokens, which you will receive tokens, make a bunch of tokens, drain, you know. So we'll go around there. But Comball seems pretty cool, and let's see where we're at. All right. First bit. Let's see. I don't even know where I want to do this. So it's going to be probably mana and draw, and Bolus of Citadel is just kind of that. It's a lot of value. You're casting stuff without lands, and you're playing off the top of your deck. And then also with a bunch of tokens, you also have the ability to sacrifice 10 non-land permanents in this deck, and each opponent loses 10 life. So it's a bit of um, uh, a go after right there too. You know what? I just got a foil version that came in today. Give me a second. Zoop. There we go. Let's make it pretty, right? So, I like that one. I like the ability to kind of get a bunch of damage in or losing life or whatever. But yeah. All right. In advance, if Tombstone Stairwell isn't in the 99, then we aren't even friends. Oh no. It might be still in here, but it was definitely there. I just don't know if I was going to have the sack outlets to really utilize that once per turn type thing. Because creating a bunch of tokens, it's 1 or more tokens. Then, if it's more, then they're still only going to lose 1 life. So that part didn't really matter. And then I might have some blockers to make sure I'm not getting pounded by those. Let me get to it. It's been a couple days since I've looked through the list and where I'm at. I got to cut stuff down. It's okay. It's all right. But Bolus of Citadel in there. Battle Angels of Tyr. This one creates copies of them on the Myriad. It creates treasure tokens potentially. There's a lot of tokens that are being created here. It's also potential draw, potential life gain. It's a great card in here, so I'm hoping that that'll stick around as well. Yeah, Orzhov as well, Obadiah. You know what? The next one I'm gonna build the new black white god as well. So I think I'm in a Orzhov kick at this point. Master of Ceremonies. At the beginning of your upkeep, each opponent chooses money, friends, or secrets. If for each player who chooses money, you and that player each create a treasure token. For each player who chooses friends, you get a 1/1 green creature token. And for each player who chooses secrets, you and that player each draw a card. So you're creating those tokens, getting to draw a card potentially, and it's very much on theme in this deck. Black Market Connections, token and treasure, token and the creature, and just the draw. It's going to be a great card in here as well. Also, you got the life gain to probably be more aggressive with it as well. Academy Manufacturer, there's definitely a lot of treasures that are being made in this deck, so why not make some food and clues for it as well. Treasure map. I like the scrying. Scrying flips over it creates some treasures, and like I said, should be making a lot of treasures in this deck. Thusly, you can sacrifice them to draw cards off that. Sack a treasure, draw a card. Not a bad deal. Deadly Dispute, sack a creature and artifact, draw 2 cards, and create a treasure. So, drawing cards, creating treasure, bada bing, bada boom. Next cool card. We're here. Klacken Bridge Troll. Probably getting into the draw part of the deck. But this one is 8/8 trample haste. When it ETBs, you get one of your opponents creates 3 goats. Then you would get those goats as well. And then if they sacrifice a creature before the attack phase, or maybe at the you get to draw a card, gain 3 life, and tap the troll. So it's kind of doing a lot that I want. It allows it to be aggressive. Shadrick's Silver Quill, 2/5 flying double strike. At the beginning of combat on your turn, you may choose 2, which is most of the time in my mind, what it's going to end up being is target player creates a 2/1. That's an opponent. You also get 1. And then you're either drawing a card or putting a 1/1 counter on each creature you control. That just kind of depends. But essentially, the opponents are always going to get that 2/1, which will also give it to you. And then depending if you got an army, put 1/1 counters on them and probably start winning the game. Oh, all right. Each of the new token copies of the original characteristics of the appropriate token as stated by the effect that created that token and nothing else unless that creature is copying something else. I'm not even sure what you're talking about. We're talking about the myriad? I don't know. Okay. Each of the new token copies the original characteristics of the appropriate token as stated by the effect that created that token and nothing else unless that creature is copying something else. So you're saying that those zombies that for the stairwell, you're saying I don't have to sacrifice those? Is that what you're saying? Because that was kind of what I was assuming I'd have to do. Um, Again, that just makes the card better. I do have Infernal Genesis. I know that's in here. But Tombstone, that one has a cumulative upkeep as well, but it sounds like it'd be bonkers in here now that you're saying it. All right, Ox Drover. Vigilance can't be blocked by oxen. Whenever it enters or attacks, target opponent creates a 2/4 white ox creature token and you draw a card. So attack or ETB, they create a 2/4, you create a 2/4, and you get to draw a card. So seems like a fun way to do it. Benny Brack, Zoologist. Whenever a token comes into play once per turn, you get to draw a card. Has Convoke. Is drawing perfectly in there. Another one that I just got yesterday, Baron Betram, Greywater. 3/4. Whenever one or more tokens ETBs for you, create a 1/1 black vampire once each turn. Then you can pay mana, sacrifice, and draw a card. And so it's kind of doing a lot that you want. So I think that'll work. Yawgmoth ran for Physician. Sacrifice tokens to draw cards. That's what it's here for. So Welcoming Vampire. 2/3 flyer. Whenever a creature with power 2 or less ETBs, once per turn, you get to draw a card. So plenty of drawing token shenanigans that can happen here. Commissar. I don't know how to actually say it. So 2/2. Whenever it attacks, each opponent loses X life, where X is the number of other attacking creatures. And then you get to sacrifice another creature for 2 mana, gain 2 life, draw cards. So this is just kind of a sack outlet. Doesn't create any tokens, but can really drain life. All right. Bill's going off on me here. It doesn't copy whether the opponent's token is tapped or untapped, whether it has any counters on it or auras and equipment attached to it, or any other non-copy effects that have changed its PT, etc. You get to keep all of the copies. Okay. All right. We'll see. Hopefully I just lied. It might still be in here. Huh? Let's see. Let's no. You're just gonna have to sit around and watch the whole thing, huh, Bill? Too good. Too good. It has a cumulative upkeep. That makes it bad. All right. Tempt with bunnies. 3 mana sorcery. Draw a card and create a 1/1 white rabbit creature token. Then each opponent may draw a card and create a 1/1 white rabbit creature token. For each opponent who does, you draw a card and create a 1/1 white rabbit creature token. So no matter what, you get a 1/1 and draw a card. Then anybody else that does it, draw a card, and you also get a draw card and another 1/1 white rabbit off of this ability, and then also at least one more 1/1 if a token's created because of Kambal. So there's a lot of potential there. Tesa, opulent oligarch. Kambal having the opponents losing life means that everybody's going to lose a life on your turn, basically, which allows you to, at the beginning of your end step, investigate for each opponent who lost life, which would likely be 3 clue tokens. And whenever you sack a clue, you get a 1/1. So it's creating tokens that'll create tokens that also will just feed into the life loss. And I built this deck. It was a little, um, it's kind of annoying, but it was really good. I really enjoyed it. So Taste is pretty sweet. Chivalric Alliance, 2 mana enchantment. And whenever you attack with 2 or more creatures, draw a card, and you can pay 2, discard a card to create a token creature. So that works. Glimmer Lens, equipment that comes down with a 2/2 creature token. Whenever equipped creature attacks with at least one other creature attacking, draw a card. So it's creating tokens, creating some draw mechanics, and that should be okay. Nice Whisper, 2 mana sorcery, draw 2, lose 2 life. It's just simple, clean, don't need anything. It's just going to work. Uh, Wernog, Rider's Champion, which is really just from the um, Strange Things secret lair. But when it ETBs, each opponent may investigate, create a clue. Each opponent who doesn't lose 1 life does lose 1 life. And then you investigate X times, where X is 1 plus the number of opponents who investigated this way. And that's also a leaves battlefield thing. So it's creating tokens or they're losing life. Either way, they'll probably just have you losing life or them. Each opponent. Yeah. Yeah. So it's probably just them losing life. Mordor Muster. You draw a card, lose a life, and create a 1/1 orc token. Skull Clamp. Essentially sacrifice a creature, draw 2 cards. Fantastic. Esper Sentinel for that draw. We don't have to talk about that one. Novice Inspector and Thraben Inspector. Both 1/2s when the ETB create a clue. So they're creating a token that allows you to draw potentially. And that's what they're there for. Cheap. Luxurious Locomotive. 5 mana, 6/5 vehicle. Whenever it attacks, create a treasure token for each creature that crewed it this turn. And so you can crew as much as you want when you're crewing. And so essentially, if you have 20 creatures, you can crew them all. You attack, create 20 treasures. You can do that. You cannot like crew one, attack, and then choose to crew as many as you want or whatever. It all has to happen then. So Grim Hireling. Whenever 1 or more creatures you control deal combat damage to a player, create 2 treasure tokens. So if you hit 3 players, you create 6 treasures. Still, it's just 1 life, gain 1 life, but it's just creating tokens that create mana. Pitiless Plunderer. Whenever you have a creature die, you get to create a treasure token, which is it's gonna snowball. It's gonna be pretty good. Smothering Tithe. Treasures when your opponents draw cards, and that's just a fact. It's got to be in here a little bit. Oketra's Monument. White creature spells cost one less to cast. Whenever you cast a creature spell, create a 1/1 white token. So it all works together. Lots of treasures or lots of tokens, right? Monologue tax. Whenever an opponent casts their second spell each turn, you create a treasure token. Warren Soul Trader, sacrifice a creature, create a treasure token, pay 1 life. But yeah, it's a sack outlet that's going to create tokens, and you can sacrifice creature tokens to create treasure tokens and all that stuff. Ashnod's Altar, sacrifice a creature to get 2 colorless mana. Just those big time sacrifice outlets. You got to make sure. I don't like playing with combo, so I'm trying not to make sure like that's a combo card in my mind. That can happen a whole ton. So just try and avoid it. I don't remember anything, so that'll cause that kind of problem, but we'll see. Otho, Corrupt Sheriff. Whenever a player casts their second spell each turn, you lose a life and create a treasure token. There you go. Simple, clean. Arcane Signet, just for that mana. Orzhov Signet mana. Talisman of Integrity, or Hierarchy. Mana. Wanted Scoundrels, 2 mana, 4/3. Whenever it dies, target opponent creates 2 colorless treasure artifact creature tokens, which hopefully you also get to create those with Kambal in play. Marching Duo Drone, 2 mana, 2/2. Whenever it attacks, each player creates a treasure token. So you create one, they create one apiece, then you get 3 with Kambal, and that's a huge ramp card for you. Treasure Dredger, 2/2, pay 1 mana, tap it, pay a life, create a treasure token. Just a 2/2, not a bad deal. We'll see if I think I already cut that and then I added it back in because of this thing a little bit. But that is Xanarim Bandit, 2/1. Whenever you attack or it attacks, you may pay 1 life. If you do, create a treasure token. So I don't know how much these little guys are kind of worth it, but Bucknard's Everfull Purse, artifact for 2 mana, 1 tap, roll a d4, and create a number of treasure tokens equal to the result. The player to your right gains control of Bucknard's Everfull Purse. And so that means they will get a chance to create treasures, which will give you more chances to create treasures, and so on and so forth. Soul Ring, yep. Mox Amber, yep. Forsworn Paladin, you can pay 2, tap, pay a life, create a treasure token, and that part is whatever at this point. Eldrazi Monument, all your creatures gain flying, +1/+1, indestructible, and at the beginning of your upkeep, sack a creature or sacrifice Eldrazi Monument. This card's crazy good, especially in token decks. Probably should be in every token deck, so do it. Fanatical Devotion, sacrifice a creature to regenerate target creature, which is really just Kambal, keeping him on the board, and you should have plenty there. Murder's Cause, sack a creature, prevent all damage to a creature or player from one source. So again, being able to protect yourself or Kambal for the most part. Lightning Greaves for that protection. Afterlife Insurance, which is a cool one. 2 mana, instant. Creatures you control gain Afterlife 1 until end of turn, and you get to draw a card. And also, if they die, that's creating 1/1 spirit, which kind of, gets you more tokens. And so what you can do, that's why there's those sack outlets. You sacrifice a creature, and then a token comes into play, drain with Kambal, and you just keep on sacrificing for value. You get a bunch of tokens that way, and you do that. Cauldron Haze. Um, 2 mana, instant. Choose any number of target creatures. Each of those creatures gain persistent until end of turn. So when they die, if they don't have a -1/-1 counter on them, they come back into play with a -1/-1 counter on them. Just another thing that you can do for sacrificing for a lot of value. Crumb and Get It. 1 mana, instant. Gift of food. Target creature gets +2/+2 until end of turn. If the gift was promised, which means they get a food token, which means you probably get a food token. But if the gift was promised, that creature also gains indestructible until end of turn. Elish Norn Grand Cenobite. So that's a protection piece. Kind of working through that. Elish Norn, creatures you get is +2/+2, and creatures your opponents control get +2/+2. This is a house. just in general. But also, if you're giving them a bunch of one ones, a lot of treasure and food and stuff like that too. So this doesn't affect that. But when you're giving a bunch of little creatures, and they die instantly, but you still get that huge bonus, I think that's a win-win. So mean for Elish Norn, Ethereal Absolution, a smaller version of it, but +1/+1 and -1/-1 also has the chance to create 1/1 tokens. So, but that's pretty overcosted. Massacre Worm, kind of a. I wish that I had a reducer and an additioner. Yeah, I guess. But this comes down. All creatures get -2/-2 until end of turn, and whenever a creature an opponent controls dies, that player loses 2 life. You're creating a lot of tokens. Likely, you're going to be able to do a lot of damage there. Space Marine Devastator. All right, 3/3 squad 2. So every 2 that you pay beyond the first kicker, I guess, but multi kicker. But for every 2 you pay beyond just that 4, you get to create a copy of it, and which is a token. Those tokens come into play in this. Destroy up to 1 target artifact or enchantment. You know, if you have token doublers, triplers, or whatever, that'll happen. Evacuation technique, 4 mana sorcery, which is my biggest gripe with it. But it has demonstrate, which means you can copy it and let another person copy it. But destroy target non-land permanent. Its controller creates 2 treasure tokens. So you destroy something, they get 2 treasure tokens. You get 2 treasure tokens. Then you destroy something, they get 2 treasures, and then they get to destroy something. They'll probably get something in retribution on you, but I mean, it might not. You know what? I might be talking myself out of it. If I was getting treasures every time something was destroyed, I'd be very happy, but it is what it is. Cut. Saw in half. 3 mana instant, destroy target creature. So if it's your opponent's creatures, it's, you know, power and toughness is sawed in half. Each of those get each of them. They get 2 ETBs. You get those same ETBs. Likely, right? So that's a bonus, in my opinion. Declaration in stone. Exile target creature and all other creatures controller controls with the same name as that creature. That player investigates for each non-token creature exiled this way. So it works kind of in a lot of different ways in this deck. If you've given them a bunch of creatures tokens that all have the same name, you bop this, get rid of all the tokens, right? If they just have a good creature in play, you exile it, they get a clue token, you get a clue token. Also, fairly good in that regard, right? So that's kind of where this one is at. Again, sorcery speed is the worst speed, but we got it. All right. Contraband livestock, 2 mana instant exile target creature, then roll a d20. Either they get a 4/4 ox, a 2/2 boar, or a 0/1 goat creature. All of them are tokens, which you hopefully can get. Bovine intervention, 2 mana instant, destroy target artifact or creature, and they get a 2/2 ox, and you get a 2/2 ox. Get lost, 2 mana instant, destroy target creature, enchantment, planeswalker. Its controller creates 2 map tokens, and you get those map tokens too. Boom, lots of oxen. Faithful Absence, destroy target creature or planeswalker. They get a clue, you get a clue. So some removal that's going to give tokens and stuff like that. Combat Calligrapher, 4 mana, 3/3 flyer. Inklings can't attack you or planeswalkers you control. And whenever a player attacks one of your opponents, that attacking player creates a tapped 2/1 white and black Inkling creature token with flying that's attacking your opponents. And so that you get that inkling as well. Search the premises. Whenever a creature attacks you or planeswalker you control, investigate. So for every creature that attacks you, you get a clue token. That can be a lot. Course of Disturbance. Whenever enchanted player is attacked, create a 2/2 black zombie creature token for each opponent attacking that player does. Bleh. Each opponent attacking that player does the same. So you curse somebody, an opponent attacks that other person, they get a 2/2, you get a 2/2, and you get a 2/2 from their 2/2. All right. You got that? Lots of bonuses. Curse of Shallow Graves. Um, The only difference between these 2 is you don't get the original 2/2 that this would get you, but you get the 2/2 that that 2/2 was given to that player, not to be confusing. Over Encumbered, 2 mana aura. When an ETB's enchanted opponent creates a clue token, food token, and junk token, which you hopefully also would get. At the beginning of combat on enchanted opponent's turn, that player may pay 1 for each artifact they control. If they don't, creatures can't attack this combat. So either way, it's stopping them from attacking. It's creating tokens that you can also get. Getting into some other bits here. Divine Visitation. If one or more creature tokens would be created under your control, they become 4/4 angels with flying and vigilance. This will probably just win you the game if it's in play. They get it's kind of like Elish Norn. They get a small or dead version of a token, and you get a big game-winning piece. So, Anointed Procession is going to double all the tokens that you're creating. Same thing with Mondrak. And I didn't choose all of them, but the big thing is that if an effect would create one or more tokens, which is different and same thing, one or more tokens, it doesn't say creature tokens, much like Divine Visitation. So this only deals with creature tokens. This can double all those clue tokens, treasure tokens, all those random tokens that are in the deck. The tripler is only for creatures, and that is why I cut that one already. But Delny, Streetwise Lookout. Creatures you control with a power 2 or less can't be blocked by creatures with power 3 or greater. And the big one, if an ability of a creature you control with power 2 or less triggers, that ability triggers an additional time, which is basically doubling up. He's 2 power, doubling up the life loss and gain for yourself. Um, and I only once each turn, I believe, goes over this only like triggering an additional time. Like, pretty sure this isn't allowed to trigger again. So, but Delny is going to double the amount of life loss and gain. Ocelot Pride, you're going to be gaining life. And so at the beginning of your end step, if you gain life this turn, create a 1/1 white cat creature token. Then, if you have the city's blessing, for each token you control that entered the battlefield this turn, create a token that's a copy of it. So, doubling the amount of tokens that you have. Whew. Mirkwood Bats, whenever you create or sacrifice a token, each opponent loses 1 life. You know, first one I'm going to be able to get. Um, okay. These are late additions, and I got to think about them a little bit more, and that puts me on notice here. But at the beginning of your end step, if you gain life this turn, each opponent sacrifices a creature. You're giving a bunch of creatures, so maybe that doesn't matter as much. Um, and then you return up to 1 target creature card from your graveyard to your hand. So you get 1 creature back to your hand. Everybody has to sacrifice a creature. That might be okay. I think I just don't care about the this is just 1 creature back. I think I'd much rather just have creatures back, especially if I'm sacrificing them. So whenever I create a token, play a black, get a creature from my graveyard. I think I like Vein Witch Coven way more than Witch of the Moors. I don't know how much I care about the removal on Witch of the Moors. So let's cut that. Alliance of Arms. Starting with you, each player may pay any amount of mana. Each player pays or puts X 1/1 white soldier creature tokens into the battlefield, where X is the total number of mana paid this way, which is so if you pay 5, everybody gets 4 1/1 creatures, but you also get the 4, 8, 12 on top of that. So that's a huge gain for you. It's okay to give 4 or 5 away. I wouldn't do more than that. That gets wild, but Legion Loyalty. I already talked about liking the Myriad in this deck, but creatures you control have Myriad, so that you're just making a ton of tokens that might be doubled, might be, it's doing work. Bunch of ETBs. Infernal Genesis is what I was talking about earlier. 6 mana at the beginning of each player's upkeep. That player puts the top card of his or her library into the graveyard and then puts X 1/1 black minion creature tokens into play, where X is that card's converted mana cost. And so they get tokens, you get tokens. That'll just build up pretty crazy. So just like what you were saying, Bill, I did that. I got rid of the other one because I thought they'd be sacrificed. You're saying they're not. I believe you. I trust you. So I'll go for that. Maybe at the end of this. Pretty close. Um, Thalis, Reverent, Medium, 5 mana, 3/4. At the beginning of each end step, create X 1/1 white spirit creature tokens with flying, where X is the number of tokens you created this turn. So it's just making a bunch of 1/1 white spirit creatures. It's almost like doubling, but turning them into spirits instead of 4/4 angels or whatever they are. Silver Quill Lecturer. This one seems real dangerous, but creature spells you cast have demonstrate. Whenever you cast a creature spell, you may copy it. If you do, choose an opponent who to also copy it. Each copy becomes a token. So legends don't really matter in that regard. But let's say like let's find a good just random creature. Oh, we're in a bad spot. Okay, so Massacre Worm, right? We cast Massacre Worm, copy it, everything gets -4, -4, and my opponents are losing 4 life per turn, and then the opponent gets a copy of it, and then it gives my creatures -2, -2, and then there's the chance that I'm but that sounds sick, right? Right? That sounds good. Let's find a different creature, let's see. So, like, I probably wouldn't copy that. I'm just looking the little I wouldn't copy that. ETB guys are the ones I'd copy Grim Hireling. I think I like Silver Quill. I think I like it. Like a second welcoming vampire. They also get that. Might be too many legends, but I think it's a fun one for sure. I think we'll keep that for now. Shillingar, Sire of Famine. 5 mana, 6/6 flyer. Sacrifice another creature. Create a blood token. So sacrifice a creature, get a blood token, and then you're draining and gaining, and you pay 3 Orzovs, sacrifice 6 blood tokens, return all those creatures back to your graveyard. It's doing a lot in this deck. Too many foils. No, no, what do you mean? I don't have too many foils. That's not a thing. The war games. I think we're gonna cut this. I'm gonna go get that zombie one. Each player creates 3 tapped 1/1 white warrior creature tokens. The tokens are goaded for as long as war games remains on the battlefield. Oh, that's a good point. So basically, I might keep that now, but it's 3 for me, 3, 6, 9, 9 for you. So you have 12. And they're all goaded. Put a 1/1 counter on each warrior creature, and again, and then you can exile all of them if things are getting wild. But I think that's gonna be fun. Benevolent Offering, 4 mana instant. Choose an opponent. You and that player each put 3 1/1s into play. Spirits, you also get the other set of threes, and then everybody's gaining, you get to choose who's gaining life as well. A Crowan Horse, 4 mana 0/4 defender. When it ETBs, an opponent gains control of it. And at the beginning of your upkeep, each opponent puts a 1/1 white soldier creature token into the battlefield. So 1, 2, and then me would get one. So I get 1 and then 2 on somebody else's turn. For 4 mana, it ain't bad. They get a little bit of a blocker, but Blood Vial Purveyor, 4 mana, 5/6 flying trample. Whenever an opponent casts a spell, that player creates a blood token, which you also get a blood token on their turn. And then whenever a Blood Vial Purveyor attacks, it gets +1/+0 for each blood token defending player controls until in a turn. That is errated in. Um, but there's a lot of tokens being made, and there's a lot of potential there for that to happen. I should read this one. For each of them, create a tapped token that's copy of it. That ability triggers only once. Okay. So I was just once per turn, once per player, once per, whatever. So it only if another opponent gets a token and then you get to create that token, then other things won't happen on their turn or whatever. Tribute to Hirobi. Each opponent creates a 1/1 black rogue creature token. So you put that down, you get 1, 1, 2, 3, you get 3 more. And then do it again on the next one. Exile this saga, and then you get control of all those rats. Attacks, sack a rat, draw a card. Not a bad deal. Charismatic Conqueror, it just is a token factory essentially, but whenever an artifact or a creature enters on the battlefield untapped, they can tap it, and if they don't, you get a little 1/1 white vampire creature token with lifelink. That's just it's a token factory, like I said. Blade of Selves, equipping to a creature and giving that creature specifically Myriad. I like the Myriad one in this deck. Genesis Chamber, whenever a non-token creature comes into play, if Genesis Chamber is untapped, that creature controller put a 1/1 mirror artifact creature token into play. I'm kind of thinking about this and like I like the drain and gain, but I don't necessarily like that I'd only get the one token versus like a Crow and Horse where I'd get three technically. Um, so that's just my thought right there is just like I like handing it out with Tribute of Hirobi, but I don't know if I necessarily like the Blood Vial Purveyor or Genesis Chamber. Like they do it once and that's what you get. It's going to be consistent though. Every turn you're going to be getting something. So that might be the same thing as once per turn versus every turn. Okay, I'll accept that for now. Nesting Dovehawk. This again, I added it right before I turned the camera on, but 4 mana, 2/2 flying at the beginning of combat on your turn. Populate. It's going to be a lot of little dinky things unless I have something huge out. But whenever a creature token enters the battlefield under your control, put a 1/1 counter on. Oh, that has to be a creature token. All right. Put a 1/1 counter on Nesting Dovehawk. How much do I care about that? I probably have enough creatures coming into play. And that's so. mm, let's think about that. So, like, if I'm putting down like 3 or 6 tokens, all of them will put 1/1 counters on, not just like a one or more situation. All right, let's see if I can find that one thing we were talking about, Bill. These are just all everything that I already pre-cut, and so like Plague of Vermin, that'd be probably pretty cool as well. Um, there it is. Tombstone Stairwell, but there I could quick go through this. You can pause anything, rewind it. I know that technology out there right now. You know, you sit down and there's a bunch of different ideas and you just got to cut them down and have at least a direction when you're coming on something like this. Can't start with 300 cards and just start fucking cutting. Nobody wants to see that bullshit. Um, I think that's yeah. So there's Ogier Attack. That is just creature tokens, like I was saying. Kaya also is doubling. There's definitely some cool cards out here. That one I was thought I was definitely gonna have in there. It's creating like a 4/2 fairy, but I just didn't have any other fairies than this guy, so it was kinda problematic. I really I went with Elish Norn instead of Gideon and Soren because I like the idea of the emblems that are given boosts, but I also like the idea of just, like, having the minuses kill stuff. Yeah, so that's where we're at right now. This is also pretty close to being in there. But Nazara the Velvet Fang is a really cool card. But whenever you gain life, put a feeding counter on it. And whenever it attacks, you can remove 3 feeding counters to lose 3 life and draw 3 cards. Like, I think it'd be doing some work in here. But all right, that's where we're at right here. Thanks, Bill, for telling me about that. We'll do that. All right, this is token making, and I like Tombst or okay. Tombstone Stairwell, 4 mana, enchant world, cumulative upkeep 2. So each upkeep you pay 2, and then the next one's 4, and then the next one's 6 until you can't pay or don't pay. And then you got to sacrifice it. But during each upkeep, so each opponent and you, each player puts into play a tomb spawn token for each summoned card in his or her graveyard. Treat these tokens as 2/2 black creatures that are unaffected by summoning sickness and count as zombies. At end of turn with Tombstone Stairwell leaves play, bury all these tokens. At the end of turn, or if stairwell leaves play, bury all of these tokens. So you're saying, Bill, that if this is destroyed or goes away, those tokens just stick around? What does that mean? The first combo? The one that -2? No, I don't need to do that, but what are we saying here? No, I understand. They do it, you get those tokens, and you're saying that I don't have to sacrifice at end of turn, and also if this goes away, they don't go away? They're, like, completely separated from the token? Alright, whenever one or more tokens enter the battlefield under your opponent's control, for each of them, create a tapped token. That's a copy of it. Alright. The tokens that Kambal makes will stay because they are not made by Tombstone. Yes and yes. Okay, okay. That makes sense. Thank you, Resident. I mean, all of it makes sense to a degree. Sometimes token creation and all that stuff kinda is confusing. Clones, I don't know. I don't know. But alright. So, we have 2 people saying, "Yay, they get to stay around." I'm dope. I'm in for that. I'm gonna quick go through this, and I probably should have been focusing on cuts a little bit more. Um, I like the idea of nesting Dovehawk, but I don't care about the populate part at this point. I get a lot of clue and treasure and tutus. Like if I was copying bigger things, then maybe I'd be more inclined. I think we could probably do that. Genesis Chamber can stick around. Blade of Cells can stick around. Let's see here. This at 4 mana might make me not like it. So maybe the same thing as Dove Hawk. They'd both be pretty big beaters. They create a little bit of tokens. I think I'm gonna cut those for now. They just they're not doing maybe enough when it comes to giving tokens. They might be big enough though. That's kind of the difference, like closing stuff out. Also consider Infernal Genesis for the same effect. Gets out of hand so quickly. Just yep, I do have Infernal Genesis in here at this point, so we're gonna be that one will probably stick around. And I'm counting on that one. And with Tombstone, that'll or Stairwell, that'll probably stick around too. Crow and Horse, I like. Da, ba, 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 ba. Just gonna be quick going into this, and then we might do like CMC order or curve. Legion Loyalty, that's just gonna get out of hand, especially with any doublers. But yeah, and then we got Sacrifice Outlets to get that stuff. Alliance of Arms, Banewitch Coven, Mirkwood Bats, just a little bit of Drain, Ocelot Pride, Delny, Anointed Procession, Mondrak, Divine Visitation, Overencumbered. I'm going to say that I don't like Curse of Shallow Graves. I like the Curse of Disturbance. It's giving you more tokens, but we'll cut Curse of Shallow Graves. I think Search Supremacist might not be around either. Like it creates how much would that like, let's say somebody attacks me with 3, I get 3 clue tokens, I get the drain and gain 1. I don't think people care that much. I don't think I'm gonna be able to sacrifice a whole ton of them. I think Search Supremacists can go. Combat Calligrapher, um, once per turn. This one was I was so they can't attack me with inklings, and then whenever they attack, you get those attacks of one of your opponents. So it's only looking for one. It's not looking like if they attack all 3, they get 3, you get 3. That's not going to be it. So they get 1, you get 1. Um, so I don't love it. I think it adds aggression onto the table, but I'm already doing so much. Yeah, no worries, Resident. I just want to let you know so you weren't like disappointed with me. But combat, not as disappointed as Bill there. He was questioning our friendship. Unbelievable. And then he started mooing at me, as you can see in the comments. It's crazy. Um, I might be just hating on that 4 spot right now, but I think I'm gonna cut combat calligrapher too. That's all the cards that I've cut so far are for not Curse of the Graves. Okay, but most of them. We'll cut that. Faithful Absence, nice little removal. Get Lost, same thing. Just I like some of that um pinpoint removal. Saw in half is going to be pretty cool. Space Marine for them tokens. I like that. Ethereal Absolution. I like that as just a backup Elish Norn. Massacre Worm, like this is one that I think I'd really like to make as a token, but I don't know how much it really fits on theme within it doesn't make any tokens. Um a lot I'm giving a lot of tokens that just kidding, Bill. And then so there's a potential to have them lose a lot of life. I think in this deck I might be more into Elish Norn and Ethereal Absolution and just be happy with that. I mean, I could potentially put in Massacre Worm for Ethereal Absolution, same CMC, a little bit of similar things that's going on. Um, and I don't know why I would like this over that other than I've played with this and then this feels like a good chance to play with this card. I think that's probably the biggest feeling. So I think we'll cut Massacre Worm, not because it's not as good, just I played with it. Let's give other cards a chance. Crumb and Get It. I think I'll always be given the food to get the Indestructible, which should give me another token. I'm fine with it. Yeah. Cauldron Haze, Afterlife Insurance, Lightning Greaves. I don't have Swiftfoot Boots. I think I might have taken them out for the Martyr's Cause and Fanatical Devotion. Eldrazi Monument makes a ton of sense. We might end up cutting these treasure like creatures that create the treasures but I want to see how much mana produce and production that this deck has. I like Bucknard's Ever Full Purse though. So we got 3 of those that we'll have to look at. Marching Duodrome definitely makes sense, creating 4 treasures on the attack, and they might not even kill it. Wanted Scoundrels seems pretty cool as well. I think I like this better than the other treasure producers, just because it's different. I'll never play this card except for maybe this deck, maybe. I like the treasure, Ashnod, Horn, Monologue Tax. I might, yeah, yeah, I might like the creatures better, honestly. But all right, Monument, Tithe, Pitiless Plunder, Hireling, Luxurious Locomotive can create a bunch. Novice Inspector, Espler, da 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 da. I am not being. I need to be more aggressive. Wernog. This might be a pointless one. Okay, let me reread this. All right. Whenever it enters or leaves the battlefield, each opponent may investigate or create a clue. Each opponent who doesn't loses 1 life. You investigate X times, where X is 1 plus the number of opponents who investigated this way. And so essentially the play is this comes into play. Nobody wants to give me clues and they just lose a life. I think that's how that goes. But there is the potential that people want the clue to draw, and then that could hit them for 2. They're losing 1 and 1 and 2, and that person's just 1, and you just gain 1. That still has a shot around. Knight's Whisper, Glimmerlands for that. Yep. Tempt with Bunnies. All right. Commissaire. This one is kind of just there for the draw cards. This one has a chance to go if I have plenty of draw. How about that? Welcoming Vampire, Yawgmoth, Baron Bertram Greywater. Whenever 1 or more tokens enter the battlefield under your control, create a 1/1. Only happens once. Sack a creature. All right. So, like, if I'm comparing these two, Commissaire is probably better. It's creating a lot of pressure. Um, this one is creating a token, though, which allows for more. I mean, it's cheaper. That's cheaper. It's more aggressive. This is a little bit of a butt. Um, I think this one's probably more in line with what this deck is doing. This card's crazy good though. It's really, really good. So I think I'll have to just make a mental note. I'm going to cut Commissaire right now, but if the deck has problems closing out, you add this back in instead of Baron. I think that's how it goes. It comes from a place of friendship when you say that we're not gonna be friends anymore. I want a new printing of Trouble in Pairs so I can play it in white X decks. I can't get over the stolen art. Oh, well, that's a bummer. That's a bummer. Hey, Bill, I don't know if you were in the Discord today, but I posted 2 Sigarda, pictures from the last Innistrad. One was Midnight Hunt and the other was Crimson Vow, and holy shit, I cannot you know what? I can get those right now. Give me a second. But oh, no, I put them away. Fuck. Da, 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 da. Yeah, so I posted it in the Discord. I put them away though. But yeah, they're almost the exact same picture from 2 different artists. I'm sure it's not stolen or anything, but I didn't know that they were that close until I accidentally got one looking to, like, put it together, and holy shit. It was I put it in the deck building one, I believe, so you can go check that out. But it's like Sigarda's Summons and Sigarda's something or other, and it is the exact same art. God, I could not tell the difference just staring at them, just going, "Why are these different cards?" It was just it was what it was. Unless what they did was, "This is what's happening. You just do your own spin on this different art." But, um, so we're keeping Baron. We like Benny. Oxdrover's cool. Shadrick, Silverquill. Yep, all these cards are pretty not all of them are unique, but I like these at this point. Okay. Let's go with our CMC, our curve at this point. We have 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 cuts at this point. All right, let's go with our curve. 4, 3. Let's get that out of there. Whoop. All over the place. There we go. Ba-da-doo-doo-doo-doo-doo-doo-doo. Ba-da-doo-doo-doo-doo-doo. Maybe the right thing for Wizards to do is just have a return policy and they can send you in. You send in your trouble in pairs and they send you new art on it. Maybe that's how it is. Or you get the proxy from the Commander Smiths and then you don't have to worry about it as much if you're an upstanding citizen like yourself. 3, that's an X spell. Well, that's a big one. 5, 5, 4, 4, 4. There's a lot of 4s in here. 6, 2, and 4. All right. All right. On that high end, we have 3 legitimate cards. I don't have any problem with it. If I have to cut one in the future, it's probably going to be Legion Loyalty. That's probably how it's going to go. But that'd be crazy. Let's see here. Let's think about this. You attack with creatures. When they come into play, they create creatures for your opponents. And then that all happens at once? No, they would be separate triggers. And so the first one that you would have go into play, you get a copy of that, and everything else just kind of happens. That's a pretty big bonus for them. Um, hmm. But I mean, there's a lot of creatures there that would be cool, but they all get created at the same time? Is that how that works? Or just triggers. So each creature, they would create 2 tokens, which would drain for 1, and you gain 1, drain and gain 1, and then that happens per creature, which would be a huge swing in itself as well. I'm okay with Legion Loyalty at this point. That one's pretty good. Blade of Selves at 2 and 4 to equip. That's kind of the same thing. I'd have to look and see how many creatures I actually want to equip with it. So we'll have to try and keep an eye out on that. But Infernal Genesis, we all agree that this card's going to be really good. Teaches art classes, so no way his is a copy in any way. Yeah, my guess, Bill, is that they one they wanted it to be like that. So like the art direction was this is the same scenario, just different cards for it. Sigarda's yada yaing, saving everybody. This is what we had before, or she was the first one. I'm not sure which one or how his art was the first one. I don't know whose was whose or whatever. But my assumption is make your version of this scene and then it's fine. You know what I mean? I would assume that it was okay. So it's just so obvious and close. That's my assumption. I'm not claiming that anybody's stealing anything. Ethereal Absolution and Bolus of Citadel. I like all that. Again, if I have to cut something here, it's Ethereal Absolution. And then if that is the case, I might cut Elish Norn and then I would add in Massacre Worm. So that's kind of probably my thought process. Depends on how desperate I get for cutting cards. I like Shillingarg for the sack outlet, for the tokens created, for the reanimation, like all of it, I really like. So, Silver Quill Lecturer. This one I think is just gonna be a ton of fun. I think it's gonna give me more headaches than anything, but it's gonna be pretty crazy. Yeah, yeah, I like that. Thalise, just it's almost like a token doubler in my opinion. Divine Visitation, that's gonna be a game winner. Eldrazi Monument, some nice protection. Luxurious Locomotive. That is there for that token production. I like that. Shadrick's Silver Quill. I guess here's the question. I'm attacking with that. Um, how much mana do I really need? I hardly have any X spells. I have the one. I have the Alliance. And that one, a lot of mana would be really good for this for sure. But that's at that 5 spot. Crew a bunch, create a bunch of treasure tokens. Probably okay cutting that, honestly. I like my ramp to be much lower, and I know I already have a couple in that 4 spot. So let's cut that for now. Shadrix, I really like Shadrix. I think in here it's either drawing or 1/1 counters, and then also 2/1. So I'm down with that. I also like Clackenbridge Troll in here as well. So we'll keep that. Um I'm gonna keep Stairwell in, or else Bill will leave me. So we'll do that. I like the war games as well. Benevolent Offering. Those ones feel really good, and then it kinda gets into some other smaller creatures where you're like, I don't know how much that's really gonna do." Like creating a 1/1 soldier for everybody, and then it's just yeah, it's good, but how good? I don't know. I don't know how much that really allows me to. Mirkwood Bats just gives me a little bit more reach. It does say token on it, so I can at least justify leaving it in here. Anointed Procession, Mondrak for that doubling. Space Marine Devastator. I feel like this is going to be really good as well. Um, yeah, there was a couple of these squad cards that I was like, ooh, I could. I didn't have enough squad cards to make it like a squad deck, but it still seemed pretty cool. Grim Hireling, yep. Pitiless Plunder, especially with the sack outlets. I think that's going to be really good in here. Smothering Tithe for sure. Yawgmoth, Baron Bertram. Yeah, I think that makes sense. Benny Brax is going to do well. Oxdrover, yep. Master of Ceremonies and Battle Angels of Tyr. All right, I should probably keep these a little bit separate to eye up the 4 spot. It might be a little thick, but I liked everything there. For Oxdrover, Benny, Baron, Yogg, Papa. Was there anything questionable? A crow and horse was the questionable one. Let's cut a crow and horse. Let's thin out that 4 spot a little bit because we have a lot that's going on right there. Like 1, 2, 3. I'll be happy in this 4 spot. A crow and horse is the only one where I'm like, I don't know how much I like that. Everything else, I'd be pretty happy drawing. Right, because really, I think it's an important spot because it's the next turn after you play Kambal. So, you play Kambal as fast as you can. The next turn, you're likely playing a 4 spot, something that's really good. And so that needs to be a really strong part of where you're going right away because show them who's boss. My 3 spot is normally pretty strong, but that competes with your Legend spot. Yeah, Eldrazi Monument's really good for sure. Vein Witch Coven. You do have a sack outlet deck, and so having the ability to bring cards back is going to be pretty good. Um, Delny. So let's see here. Opponent's control for each of them create a tap token that's a copy of it. So this is also but it doesn't. It only triggers once. Even if we copy that trigger, that ability triggers an additional time. Okay, so there would be a difference between copying the trigger, which would be like a Strionic Resonator, versus a triggers a second time. This only creates a first, you can only trigger once. Thusly, that one is negated for the copying of tokens, but they can continue to lose one life with the second trigger. So still like Delny, but it doesn't help you with the tokens. I think that's cuttable. I think that's cuttable. That feels weird. Delny's pretty good. Cursive Disturbance, Saw in Half is going to be dope. Fanatical Devotion, Martyr's Cause, Oketcha's Monument. Might have to see how many creatures I actually have in here too. Monologue Tax. We'll go with that. Warren Soul Trader, Astronaut's Altar. Like I said, I like Tesa really a lot in here. Temp with Bunnies seems good. Welcome Vampire, Academy Manufacturer, Black Market Connection. That all seems really good and powerful of what's going on. Yeah. All right. All right. Two spot. Like I said, I had questions about Genesis Chamber, and I think that's cuttable. I think that's cuttable. I like this coming down, giving each opponent creates a 1/1 black rack token, and then you also get that amount down. Charismatic Conqueror for sure. Some of this pinpoint removal might be a little much. 1, 2, 3, 4. We have 4 pieces of pinpoint removal. I'm not real heavy on my removal most of the time, so I'm going to get rid of Declaration and Stone. I do like that it can get rid of target creature. Yeah, I'm okay with that. Cut it. Greaves is cool. Afterlife Insurance, Cauldron Haze. Yep. Lotho. We got some of these artifact rocks. Wanted Scoundrel. I like the uniqueness of that along with the Marching Drone. Still not going to cut these until we're looking at our mana ramp at this point. I think the pay. Let's say I'm okay cutting the bandit, not this one, since this is an attack that might only get you one time, and I'd rather have stuff stay around for a little bit. Purse, Alliance, Lens, Knight's Whisper. Okay. Mordor Muster, Deadly Dispute, Treasure Map. Yeah, we'll just have to see. I think it's just an interesting card. How about that? I'm okay with that. Treasure Dredger. Do-do-do-do. Do-do-do-do-do-do. Like all those things. Okay. All right. The one spot, not real thin or thick. Ocelot Pride. Yep. Crumb and Get It. Rock for Sworn Paladin. That 2 mana is a lot, though. And I'm going to admit, it's a lot. Especially for one. That was probably my problem. It feels weird to pay 2 or 1 to try and get 1, so it's at least with the one that's even on that turn, like you're just looking for a color or whatever. Here, you're down a mana. We can cut the Paladin. I think that makes sense. Skull Clamp, Sentinel, Novice Inspectors. All right. see what we got. I think we're gonna go into card types. 4, 50, 76. 76 ain't bad. All right. So yeah, we'll do card types real quick, and then we'll break it down into what they do, and we'll probably call it a night. So card types, creatures always. I'm always heavy in creature, so it's just best to get rid of that. No planeswalkers. I mean, if I do have a planeswalker in a deck, it's one or two at most, unless it's obviously like a Super Friends deck. I do have one of them, but it's slow. There we go. Ba-da-da-da-da. So I think we have a lot of good token production. I think the biggest thing is just like closing out the game. So instants and sorceries. Instant, 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 instant. Do thinking about enchantments and stuff like that, I think they've done a good job diversifying what an enchantment is and does and trying to make it a bit different from what an artifact is. Because, artifacts used to just be colorless enchantments, essentially. And now, once they gave it colors and shards of Alara, it, kind of took the specialness of an enchantment away. But, here, what they do, we have Enchant World, that was old school. But you have sagas, you have curses, you have anything else? Yeah, just kind of sagas and curses and auras and stuff like that. Like just I think they're trying to add a little bit more to it. And I like appreciate what they're doing there. All right, let's go through the smaller ones there. So sorceries would be Alliance of Arms, Temp with Bunnies, Knight's Whisper, Mordor Muster. Okay, so just getting a bunch of creatures out there. It could be okay, right? And I think that's probably why I like Elsh Norn over anything. Then it's just a huge swing. I like all those cards. Instance, we have plenty, a handful of instance. 1, 2, 3, 4. Some removal, some protection, some draw. Yeah, I don't dislike any of that. Enchantments, a lot of enchantments. Legion Loyalty. I said 70 something, so I need to drop like 10 more probably. Legion Loyalty, Infernal Genesis, Ethereal, plenty of creatures, so I don't really have to worry about any of that. Let's take a look. What would I want to copy up? Like, I don't think I'd like Legion Loyalty to turn into a Myriad. Just gonna give them a bunch of O1s or whatever, like a bunch. Legends don't really matter. Mirkwood Bats, that'd be kind of good. Like, yeah, yeah, yeah. That makes a ton of sense. I mean, I'd like that copied. That makes sense. I'm okay with that. That already has Myriad. That's not going to be any good. The ETB already attacking, but the ETB can be all right. That's just giving a bunch of 2/4 Oxens. Penny Brax, Legend, Legend, Legend. Don't really care about that. Legend. Um, Not a lot of ETBs, I'm gonna be honest. I don't know how much I actually want to myriad cards. And if that is the case, then we can start. Yeah, okay. Cutting 2, Blade of Selves and Legion Loyalty. Bada bing, bada boom. Um, but we like Infernal Genesis. We like Ethereal Absolution at this point. That's kind of something that I really want to be doing. Oh, enchantments over artifacts, less fragile, though universally tougher to recur for sure. For sure. I agree with that. I do play with a lot of enchantments. More than a lot of people probably, but Divine Visitation, we like Stairwell, we like the War Games, Anointed Procession, Smothering Tithe, Curse, Martyr's Cause. Okay, hold on. So why would I like Curse would get me 2 count or 2 tokens versus something like Genesis Chamber or the Blood Vein, or would do I like Horse of Akroan over Curse of Disturbance? Is that something that I truly care about? I am unsure. Let's keep that around. It's at least cheaper than what I just said. Martyr's Cause for sack outlet, Fanatical Devotion, Monologue, Tax, Black Market. That's pretty good. The enchantment wise, I like what's going on there. Not mad about anything. Token production. All right. Bulls the Citadel, Monument, catches Monument. I like that. How many white creatures do we have? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. 13 cards. Oh, but I guess whenever you cast a creature, I have plenty of creatures, so I'd cast and create tokens. All right. Oketra's Monuments, solid still. Bolus' Citadel, Monument, Ashnod's Altar, Greaves. I like Everfull Purse. Bop, bop, bop. Token creation. Map. Skull Clamp. Mox Amber. Soul Ring. I like it all. All right. I like that. Then let's actually take a look at the creatures. All right. We like Norn, that Elise, Silver Quill, Shilling Gargle, Troll, Silver Quill. We're likely gonna be trying to sacrifice creatures, which will create treasures. I mean, all that should play off of each other. Space Marine Devastator, Mondrak, Vane Witch Coven. Mhm. I mean, I like the idea of just getting all the creatures back from my graveyard. That will happen. Is it better if I just go and get like a cauldron? Mm, probably not. Lifeline? Is there some sort of other or creature recursion that I can do a bit better? Is it better if I just do a Phyrexian Water Nutter? The one that pay 2 and 2 life and bring a creature back from the yard into your hand. Um, I think I'm all right here. Uh, all right. So generous gift and stroke of midnight. I do have. I did cut because they're just like 3 mana, but I do have. Let's see here. I do have that bovine intervention. The pinpoint removal is down to basically 4. Where the fuck are we? Over here. All right. So with the pinpoint removal right now, we are contraband livestock. So that's creating one of the 4/4/2/2 or no 1 for a target creature. Bovine intervention for artifact or a creature. Get lost, destroy a creature, enchantment, or planeswalker. And fateful absence for a creature or planeswalker. So there's probably a little too heavy on the artifact part. but we'll see how much actual removal I have in the deck, in this next round here when I look at how much removal. I normally am pretty light on removal, resident. And the reason why that is, and that's more of a personal preference, and I should probably say this here too. So our play group, we don't really play combo, so that's not going to come out of nowhere. Thusly, we're not going to play a lot of counter spells. Um, and then also I get that why people play a lot of removal. I almost don't play any board wipes unless it's going to give me a major advantage, but the big reason is that I want games to move along. I want people to feel like they're having fun. I want them to feel like they're doing what they're doing. And the big reason that people always say run more removal is because people are saying, "How do I deal with this?" And there's two ways. And everybody, the advice is always run more removal, when really what it can be is check your emotions. It's okay for people to have fun and do what they want to do as well. So generally what I try and do personally, which does not win me a lot of games, but what I do is I come out strong, come out consistently, and other people get to do their thing. I don't get too worried about it, but I do run protection to allow myself to do more things as well. That's kind of just a personal philosophy, but I don't run a lot of removal. Um, and that allows me to play more cards that I want to play too. Removal's kind of boring for me at this point in my life. I'm getting to be an old man. Okay. Doublers, Vainwitch Coven, Battle Angels of Tyr. I like Master Ceremonies, Oxdrover, um, Benny Brax, Baron. Baron's questionable. Just at that 4 spot. Yeah, let's cut that. Yawgmoth, Warren Soul Trader, Tesa. So, like, another thing that I could be doing, since I'm like a creature token sack outlet, I could be running like Dictate of Erebos and that style of card where whenever you have something die or sacrifice, they have to do it as well. I could do all that stuff, but it doesn't create a fun game. Doesn't for me. Again, for you, maybe. And other people, maybe. Um, but for me, I'd rather just not worry about it. I had ghostly prison enchantments in mind when thinking of removal. Gotcha. Yep. Yeah, yeah. That could really hurt me. And that is a little bit why I wanted the yeah. I like the Citadel Bolus in there for that reason. But again, it's sometimes okay to just run into a wall and whoops, they beat me. You know what I mean? Or hope for somebody else for removal. I think it was last winter. I was running the Balrog, Doran's Bane, the one that like whenever you sacrifice a permanent, it reduces the cost of the Balrog. And so it's a red black deck, and somebody put a oubliette on it, and I had nothing. I was just like, there, I cannot remove enchantments, even though it's hard and red and black. I just was not going to run anything and just accept that it was if it happens, it happens, and it did. It's not gonna happen a whole ton, but it did. So that's fine too. Uh, Vampire for the draw, Token, Lotho, Treasure Dreader. Well, that one's still questionable. I'll have to look. Marching Duo Drone, Wanted Scoundrels, Wernog, Rider, Champlain, Ocelot Pride, Inspector. Because the other thing that can come up with that, as long as that something that you can't deal with personally doesn't if that comes up later in the game when it's just you versus them, then you're just kind of locked out. Like that's game, that happens. Um, but at the same time, if other people are on there, especially in this deck, when I can give stuff away and be like, hey, if you can remove this, I'll give you some tokens, or I'll remove this other thing to your benefit. And so that's some of the politicking that you can kind of do as well. Um, didn't make a whole ton of cuts. 3, we might have still like 7 to 10 on the table that I need to do. I'm probably gonna be running 35 to 36 land. I don't need to run through that either. I'm just gonna do what the cards are doing in the deck, and then we'll go through that one more time, try and cut. And other than that, we'll be done for the night. I'm gonna start calling this a drain, I think. I don't know if that's gonna be creating many clues for me. Oop. All right. Mana, drawing. Manas. That's just token production. Let's see here. There we go. That's a draw. Ooh. Draw and token production. Mana, draw. Maybe we consider that protection since it's the only graveyard thing. Removal. Manas. Drain. Let's play a draw. Technically also a draw. I don't love it as that, but that is a token production. Token production. That's a doubler. Plus and minus. Mana. Draw. Protection. Mana. Draw. A different type of protection. That is token production. So this could be just token production or also kind of a protection, just saying, hey, you should go attack that. And it keeps the heat off of you a little bit in that regard. We'll put in tokens, I guess. Mana, doubler, tokens, plus or minus, token creation, that's tokens, removal. That is probably, wow, protection, draw. Okay. All right. So this is just something that we want in the deck. And I guess that is removal as well. So let's put that in removal. Talk about that later. Okay. So messing with tokens, we either 4/4 doubler with procession, doubler with Thalys and turning them into spirit tokens. Mondrak is a doubler, and Ocelot Pride is likely a doubler. You're going to be gaining plenty of life. It's going to happen. None of these look bad. I like all of the options here. The only thing in my mind that I'm going to have a problem with, so for number of tokens you created, tokens, and this is tokens. The only thing that I'm worried about is, am I creating the creature tokens? And if I'm getting enough of them, and I probably haven't broken that down. I know that I feel like I'm getting a lot of treasures, a lot of clues, it feels like. And those just aren't going to be helpful with divine visitation. So maybe right now I cut that and just make it be like, have it be a cut for now. And then if I'm like, you know what, that can put me over the top a little bit. That could be something. So maybe we cut that right now. And we have 4 of those things right now. And then I think we like the potential of token creation, but it's still just life loss. I don't have a lot of back and forth though. I don't know how much I care about that. But it'll at least trigger twice. I do have the sack outlets. All right. Whenever a creature create or sacrifice a token, each opponent loses 1 life. That'll do a lot of work. I'm not worried about that. Wernog, Rider, Champlin. We'll keep that for now too. Token production. All right. We that's all right. That has something. We like Alliance of Arms. Benevolent Offering. Let's take Infernal Genesis. We like Stairwell. We like the War Games. Curse of Disturbance was something that we potentially didn't like because it's not going to be consistent. It might, but then also if people don't want to attack that player, they don't want to give you the tokens, then it's just a dead card. So I think that's worth a cut. Alliance of Arms, man. Divine Visitation into Alliance of Arms seems bonkers. Seems absolutely. I think I've talked myself into keeping Divine Visitation around. Like, any of these cards are just going to be absolutely bonkers with it. Other than Silver Will or Silver Quill. But yeah, it's just going to be bonkers. 2, 3, 4. I like that. 5. This feels like a cheaper version of this, a little bit more not as aggressive. Charismatic Conqueror, Silver Quill Lecturer. So if we didn't like, I guess that's a good question. If we did not like the myriad cards, like how many of these demonstrate, how many creatures am I going to want to demonstrate? I have a lot of enchantments and instants and sorceries that are creating tokens, but how much of these? I have a lot of legendary creatures. I think Silver Quill Lecturer can be cut at this point. If I had a lot more ETBs, that'd probably be so like the hunted series, like the hunted demon and hunted Lamassu. If I had those in here, that could be really interesting. That would add a lot of tokens. Um, I think I'm happy with everything else at this point. All right, protection. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Nine's a little high on the protection for me, but gives the token. Bring back all the creatures. If I have a lot of tokens, though, how much do I really care? This does count for tokens, and it just create more tokens, but this won't count for creatures or tokens. Being able to use some of these tokens and creatures, being able to regenerate or prevent the damage. I mean, you can prevent the damage to yourself as well, creature or player from one source. You can even save somebody with this one, Martyr's Cause, making it hard for them to attack. That's a good one. Good, good, good. All right, Vane Witch Coven, bringing stuff back. I am sacrificing. I do think that's going to be a problem if I try and go off. Um, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I like over encumbered. Eldrazi Monument and Greaves seems solid. I like the Cauldron Haze and Insurance. I don't have to make a decision. I like them all. I like them all. You know what? All right. Back and forth. We're going to cut the Coven for now. We'll have it on the side. But if I don't have enough creatures that I want to be sacrificing, and I'm much more sacrificing tokens, which I think might be the case, then this isn't as good. So we'll cut that for now. Removal. We have Elish Norn, Ethereal Absolution. These will take care of the little ones. Exile a creature, artifact creature, get lost, da da da. Saw and a Half is a creature, and Space Marine. So these are all creatures. That is only a creature. That is an artifact. Enchantment. That's mostly a creature. That's mostly a creature. So we have essentially 2 cards that can deal with an artifact and 2 cards that can deal with an enchantment, but only between 3 cards. Not a whole ton. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. When it comes to creature removal, I'm going to be handing out a lot, but these are going to be static. So, which is the other thing to put over Massacre Worm, where these just are always affecting the board. Whereas Massacre Worm, especially now that I'm not creating any random ass tokens with Demonstrate or Myriad, I think Massacre Worm just isn't nearly as potentially lethal as it once was. Um, I'm happy with my removal. Like I said, I'm light. I'm okay with what's going on there. A little heavier in the protection, so that's where we're at. All right. Mana, I want to be in between 15 and 20. 3, 4, 5, 6, 17. I'm not mad at that. Creature draw. I'm probably always doing lose a life, lose 2 life, 3 life to do both. I'm just looking at these are the ones that do both. I love Bolus's Citadel in this deck, so I'm there. Master of Ceremonies is going to do work. Academy Manufacturer is going to do work. Um, Deadly Dispute. I like Black Market and I like Battle Angels of Tyr. What is battle? And then you can start like putting them where you think it's going to end up being. Is always creating a treasure. Always going to draw me cards. It's just making tokens. I should probably set this over in the token making section. Maybe? Probably. I don't know what this is gonna do. This is gonna be both. That's definitely both. And then that is these are the tough ones. So we have 4 that can do a bit. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 18. Let's try and cut 1. And if I'm going to cut 1, it's going to be monologue tax. I've been eyeing that up for a while. Catcher's Monument, if it didn't make a token, would have the potential. But I have enough creatures. The reduction is the tough part, but the creatures that it creates is a lot better. I think I need more creatures. Astronaut's Altar, Purse, pop, 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 pop. I like Pitiless Plunderer, Grim Hireling. All those are pretty good. Oh, there's Treasure Dreader. I don't hate it. I'm going to admit, I do not hate it. I'm glad that I got rid of the other 2. Okay. We can do it at instant speed. So block, create a treasure, stuff like that. Marching Duo Drone, Wanted Scoundrel. Yeah, let's get rid of the monologue tax. Opponent casts a second spell each turn. What's Lotho doing? Is that opponent or any player? Whenever a player casts. Yeah, so that's what makes that so much better. I think the biggest problem with monologue tax is if you play 2 spells, you don't get any treasure. It has to be an opponent, and so maybe problematic. Happy there. Probably happy there. Right down to drawing again in between 15 and 20. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. Let's take a look at this. Deadly Dispute, Mordor. See what's going on. All right, these are just kind of spells. Doing stuff. These are kind of similar. Ox Drover and Silver Quill are kind of similar. Same thing with Clack and Bracken. Troll. This is Sacrifice. Skull Clamp and Yawgmoth I oftentimes put together. Welcoming Vampire. Benny Brax are similar. Esper Sentinel as well. This is going to be some work. I don't know where that goes. These 2 are similar. I'm probably not mad at any of this at this point. I can probably let's cut Night's Whisper just because it's not on theme. Let's do that. Not making tokens, just straight up draw. Let's not cut Esper Sentinel, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. Let's do a final count here, and then we'll probably call it a night. 2, 3, 4. 20. 20. 20. 9. All right. 69. Ah! Did not mean to do that on purpose. Totally can't card count. I am not that smart. But we're at 69. We only have a couple more cuts here and there. Like I said, I'll probably have 34, 35 land in here. I think it's going to be a lot of fun. Giving out tokens, having plenty of tokens. And stuff like that. We do have a podcast that's going to be recorded Monday night here coming up here soon on YouTube Live. We will also be doing Friday as well because Adam's going to be out of town the next week. And then they're probably going to be building another deck, maybe Ketramos, the new Black White God. That exile stuff, or I guess you want to exile stuff. If you enjoyed that, again, subscribe, like, share, do whatever you want. We'll probably do a final deck tech once I have everything together, and then you can check it out. We also have Moxfield if you want to go check that out. That's where we put all of our decks under Commander Smiths. That'd be greatly appreciated. Check them out. Either way, hopefully you have a good night. Good luck. Have a good one. Bye.